Hi YouTube, welcome to Pagan Perspective. This is Megan, aka Supremacy. Today is Friday. So today we are talking about something not cool. Something really tough, and I'm glad we're talking about it. I think that Pagan Perspective is important in that way, in that we can talk about some of the lighthearted things at the same time we talk about some of the really big issues. And this week we are talking about white supremacists, neo-Nazis. We're talking about racists, people who hate other people, and them co-opting a religion. It's sort of, it makes my mind just a jumble when I think about this happening, because it has been happening for a long time. It makes me really upset when I see it in front of me or when I hear about it. I'm lucky in that in my community, it's not something that is prevalent. So I've been very lucky in that way. However, I know that there are some communities that are not lucky in that way. And so Norse religion, we're talking Odinism. Unfortunately, there have been some hateful people that have decided that they are going to co-opt this religion and associate it with their hate. This is wrong. This should not happen. It's so frustrating because now we've got people who practice this faith who are now having to be associated by proxy with these people, and particularly their symbology. I know that I have many friends who have tattoos. You know, they have Thor's hammer tattooed on them. It means so much to them. This is something that is sacred to them. And now they're worried that when people see that, they are going to associate Thor's hammer with racism. That is so wrong on so many levels. And I really appreciated Car's video about the emotional load that this is placing on our Norse brethren and community. I think it's important that we as a community share that load with them. I know for myself, it's important that I educate myself more about Odinism and Norse mythology. I know that for me to be an ally in helping combat this, I need to do that, and I definitely take that on. I'm here saying that it's not okay. We need to all stand up and say, no, you cannot associate this religion with your hate. It is so wrong on so many levels, and it drives me to sadness and to rage and all of these emotions that I have, because it is so wrong to have something that is sacred to you be corrupted in that way. And the hard part is that it's not corrupted for you. It's corrupted in the minds of other people. It's corrupted by association. And that is so wrong, because honestly, it's one of the hardest things to fight. Association is insidious. It's something that once it's put out there onto the internet, and once it just becomes a common thing that just sort of people think of, it's really, really hard to get rid of. Really hard to get rid of. Once things become commonplace and part of the cultural zeitgeist, it can take years upon years for it to get out of that pattern. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't think it's an easy answer. I know that what I can do is make sure that I bear as much of that emotional load that workload as possible and educate whenever possible. I know I can do that. As far as answers for what else to do, I don't have a lot. This is a big, big problem, and I don't see the racists, because they're not Odinists to me. I don't see the racists as letting up anytime soon. And unfortunately, I think that's because at this point, I think there's a culture around it. There's this culture that it's okay somehow to be that if you call it free speech, which is asinine. It is not okay to be a racist. Ever. Ever. It is not okay. You don't get a pass. I don't know how else to put that. So I think that the most we can do at this point is to combat it with education as much as we can, and to really be there for our brothers, sisters, folks, people, our loved ones, all of them, who are having to bear this horrible stigma and load on their sacred beliefs. And that's sort of where I stand on that issue. I am really concerned about the next steps. What next will be co-opted? What next will be corrupted? What next is going to be taken? Already it's hard enough because there's so many stereotypes. We're approaching Halloween, and so so many people are already, all the cultural zeitgeist is to make scary witches with green skin and warts, and that's really difficult. It's always a difficult time, and it's hard. And I feel like one of the things that also gets sort of downplayed is, how many times have you heard, I know I hear it all the time, when somebody is trying to insult somebody else and says, oh, they're such a witch, meaning something bad, like they're bad in that way. And usually it's associated with the word bitch, and they say, oh, she's such a witch, right? That is so hurtful. I mean, imagine that. Imagine taking, another religion, oh, she's such a Christian, and putting it in that context that it's so bad. It's such a hurtful thing to say, and yet people say it all the time. I mean, people are saying it on TV. I've heard, big celebrities say it. I've heard, big talk show hosts. I've heard tons of people say this, and it's so wrong, And so I think that, we're faced with this co-opting and this corrupting a lot. And I know that for our Norse followers out there, this is something that unfortunately is seeing a major resurgence, I think. I think that it was there for a while. It was sort of a little underground. I never heard of people really, screaming from the bannerment like, I'm an Odinist and I'm a racist, right? That wasn't something where people really felt like they could say out loud. I mean, I'm sure some people did. I just didn't hear it the way that I'm hearing it now, and it's so wrong. You don't give them a voice. You don't give them a platform to spew hate. Like, you don't get a platform to speak hate. That doesn't work that way. Or it shouldn't work that way. Yeah. So that's where I'm at today. I think I'm just so, it's so hard. And I just want to really push everybody, educate. Make sure we combat this, because if we all combat it, then we stand a chance in really making a difference and making sure that our loved ones, our Odinist loved ones, are supported, um, and we take care of them, and we let them know how much we care about them, and make sure that they don't feel the weight of this any more than they already do, um, as much as we can. So that is it for today, guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Yeah, I think that's it. So, as always, blessed be and aloha.